Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session. This is our 5-day, 5-hour online training program on microlearning and nano-learning, designing bite-sized digital content to enhance teaching learning. This training program is brought to you by Central Institute of Education Technology, that is CIET-NCERT, New Delhi. Today we are in day 1 of the training session and the topic that we have taken up is micro and nano-learning, concept, need and scope. You are watching us live on PM eVidya channels 6 to 12 and also on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. Well, since it's a training program, there is going to be an assessment also on the final day of the training session. So, we request you all to kindly pay attention to all the training sessions, and if you have any questions, you want to participate in the session, please feel free to get in touch with us. You can take down our phone number, which is 8800440559. We also have a dedicated email ID for you, that is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. And since we are streaming live on our YouTube handle NCERT Official, you can always send us your questions in the live chat box. But I have a request, please do not mark your attendance and please send relevant questions only. Now, I already mentioned that it's a training program, so there is going to be an assessment. For this, please watch all the sessions carefully. Assessment courses will be released soon, and if you score more than 70%, you'll be granted a certificate. For all the detailed guidelines, you can definitely log on to our CIET website. And now it's time for me to introduce you all to our expert of the day who will throw light on this very important topic. I really need to understand what do we mean by nano-learning, micro-learning. I remember hearing these terms, nanotechnology, micro of course, and economics. But when it comes to learning, what are these two concepts, how they're relevant in today's age, and what all difference they are making to the teaching learning process. So please join me in welcoming my guest for the session. We have with us Dr. Gaurav Singh, Professor from Media Production Division, CIET-NCERT, New Delhi.
Thank you,
Namaskar and very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Now, sir, as I mentioned, because I have heard these terms in two different contexts, but when it comes to teaching learning, before you actually delve deep into the presentation, I request you to kindly make us all understand what exactly they are all about and what exactly we can expect from the session today.
Thank you, Harpreet. Actually, this is the first session of the training program, so I'll limit the whole presentation to the conceptual clarity only. In last few years, the whole teaching learning scenario has changed.
Yes.
Learners' attention span has reduced. They believe in just-in-time information.
Yes.
They don't want to explore the long web pages or 100 or 200 page books to find a solution of a problem which they are facing when they are reading, when they are learning, when they are doing an activity. So they want a quick solution.
Yeah.
But quick solution doesn't mean that it can be any solution.
Yes.
Quick solutions should also have an objective. Quick solutions should also have a complete package.
Absolutely.
So when educators started working on the bit size and bite size learning content, these two terms have emerged, micro learning and nano learning.
And here bit sized and bite sized means what?
In terms of computer science, a byte is made up of 8 bits. So when we are talking about bit size, they are the smallest possible chunk, and when we are saying byte size, they are larger than the bit size, a complete package, but smaller than a whole class.
Okay.
So for example, if a teacher plan a class for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, they used to design 4 to 5 learning objectives, then they design the content into according to those learning objectives. But when they plan a micro class, they may focus on a single objective, not on all 4 or 5 objectives. So you can say the one conceptual entity or one sub-conceptual entity could be explained in a micro learning class. So in that way we can draw a similarity between the computer bit and byte and here the nano and micro learning concepts.
Right. So because you mentioned that due to reduced attention span or the dynamic changes that we are witnessing in this day and age, micro learning and nano learning is they both are very important concepts. Now sir, I request you to kindly go ahead with your presentation, and if at all there are questions, we'll take them up in the end.
Thank you, Harpreet. So in today's session, I would like to focus on three important dimensions. I would like to help the viewers to understand these concepts, that what are the core ideas behind micro and nano learning, why we need micro and nano learning these days in the school education, and why these concepts are becoming more and more important for our learners. And also I would like to explain a bit about the practical applications for the teachers, that how teachers can use these concepts, how they can apply these concepts in the classroom. So, you know, the whole education landscape has changed in past few years. Education is evolving rapidly, and when it is evolving, you know, there is a digital shift. The digital shift means that the incorporation of the digital content into the traditional classroom teaching learning is now the reality, or you can say it is the talk of the town, or you can say it is the today's reality, that no teacher can deliver the whole class without any digital integration. They may integrate in one way or another way. The other thing is that in the classes which are mostly the inclusive classrooms, we are having learners with varied learning styles. Some may prefer to learn by viewing, some may prefer to learn by listening, some may prefer to learn by doing something, some may prefer to learn by reading or writing. So, the learners are with the diverse learning needs are there in our classroom. The third, which you have already mentioned, that the attention span has reduced with the time. Now learners do not want to focus on a single concept for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. They want a quick solution. They do not focus on a video even if it is longer than 5 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes. So, this sustained attention is very important, and the time of this sustained attention has been reduced with the upcoming technological interventions. Also, there is a concept called personalized and adaptive learning which is evolving. So, when we are talking about, you know, personalized learning means when every learner gets the solution of his or her own problem which is unique to him or her. So, you know, now the learners do not want a one size, one type solution for all. That time has gone. Every learner has a different kind of problems. Now, if a teacher is planning a concept or a class for 30 minutes, they generally plan it similar for the whole. But if they are coming for the bit size or bite size videos, they can plan multiple videos, multiple e-content which could be associated with a particular highlighted keyword, underline word. If it is a e-text, we can hyperlink it with that word, and that is possible. For example, I am taking example from chemistry, that there is a chapter called solution. So, when a teacher is explaining the concept of solution, they talk about the solution, the types of solution, the solute, the solvent, the saturated solution, the unsaturated solution, and all these are the different concepts. Suppose a teacher is trying to teach this in the traditional ICT methods, they may record a 15 or 20 minutes video on the concept of solution where they will explain all these things. But if a student is not able to understand what is the concept of solute or what is the meaning of solvent. Now, the concept of solute or solvent does not require a 30-minute video. It requires a 30 seconds intervention or a 1 minute intervention. So, we may record a 30 seconds bit size video, and it can be hyperlinked with that particular term. So, if they are struggling to understand a particular term, they can click on that term and the video can pop up on the screen and they can understand it quite easily. So, the whole education is changing because the pedagogies are changing now. We are not teaching with the traditional pedagogical methods where we were engaging the learners for the longer time. Rather, we are trying to use the innovative approaches to engage the learners. From the traditional talk and chalk method, now we have moved to tech integrated method. So, the classrooms are also you can say transforming with the time, and there is a shift from the traditional classroom in terms of flipped classroom, in terms of gamification, and of course in terms of micro learning. Because classrooms are changing, so as a teacher we need to rethink that which learning strategy is appropriate for my class. So now the learners require focused input. They want quick inputs, targeted information, as I told you that they don't want a video of 20 minutes on solution, they want a 1 minute intervention on the concept of solute, or they want 1 minute intervention on the concept of solvent, right. So they want very targeted information. The present day teaching learning is very much overloaded with the information. I can give you the example of a teacher who was teaching a concept of mitosis in a class, and she was using a flipped classroom model. So she decided to share some videos to the learners one day before the class. So she went to the YouTube, identified 5 or 6 good videos of mitosis and copied their URL and sent into the WhatsApp group of the learners that learners please go through these videos, tomorrow we will discuss about the concept of mitosis. Now the problem is that the concept which could be explained in 10 minutes or in 20 minutes, the teacher has bombarded with the 5 or 6 videos of 20-minute duration. So this information overload is there. So teachers also need to understand that present generation doesn't require the information overload. They don't want the bombardment of content. They want accurate, crisp and short information about a particular content. Another thing is the time constraint. Now the teacher as well as the learner, they are the multitaskers now. So their focus is not only the learning of one particular subject or one particular concept at a time. Many times they do the parallel processing of many things. So the time constraint is there. And also the micro and nano learning have emerged as the need of modern days, because current classroom requires effective solution of the problem in time, just in time. So this just in time basically has introduced the concept of micro and nano learning, about which I want to discuss in today's session.
Okay.
So let us start with a concept called micro learning. A micro learning, we can say, are the quick target learning solutions where a small and digestible unit of learning contents are being provided. But this does not mean that we can break a lesson blindly into small parts. There is no blind division, okay, top 100 words one class, next 100 words 2 class. It is not like that. We basically decide that how many objectives are there in the class, objectives in the lesson of one day, then we take one unit or one lesson or one objective of one lesson. So every unit of micro learning is based on a single concept or a single skill, and which is a self-contained course itself, which focuses on a single specific learning outcome or learning objective. So typically it may take 2 to 15 minutes, but not more than that, and we generally deliver in form of videos, in form of quizzes, in form of short text messages, in form of audio clips. So it does not mean that, you know, when we are talking about micro learning, we are talking about only videos. No, we are not talking about only videos. We are talking about multiple e-content solutions to the learners, the solutions which learners basically require. Once Winston Churchill has said that personally I am always ready to learn, although I do not always like to be taught. So you know, no one now wants to be taught for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. They want to learn when and where they require to learn, how they want to learn. So everyone prefer to learn into the small chunks, but micro learning, as I told you, is not about chunking the large pieces of the content into the small pieces. It is basically anchored around its learning objective, which is complete, which is holistic learning experience. So we can say that when we are talking about a micro learning unit, we are talking about an objective driven learning unit. So there is an objective and the solution of that objective is associated in the one micro learning unit. Generally we do not give large histories and we do not talk about much about the past. We try to give the task oriented, solution oriented approaches there, and you can use the micro learning during the class, you can use the micro learning before the class, you can use the micro learning after the class. So it could be used anywhere, before, during or after the training or after the class. This does not mean that micro learning can be used only to introduce the concept or only to recapitulate the concept. Even you can use it while explaining the concept, while exploring the concept. So, in explore phase, in engage phase, in evaluate phase, in evaluation, in explanation phase, in any phase of teaching learning, we can use the micro learning units. The other associated concept to the micro learning is the nano learning. Now, nano learning is even the smaller unit of a micro learning concept. So, we basically try to provide the information in terms of learning particles. We can say it is a particle size or a bit size information through very short, highly targeted nuggets of information. So, it could be a brief video tutorial, it could be a single infographic which just talking about a single definition, a single term, a specific skill or any concept just in few seconds or few minutes. We generally do not prefer the nano learning units to be the 15-minute or even 20-minute duration. We come back less than generally 2 minutes. So, we can say that nano learning components are the ultra short components, or we can say the bit sized interventions which are focusing on a very specific learning objective or a fact. Our duration generally varies from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and nano learning units are basically are aiming to provide just in time knowledge or reminders or solutions. So, many times we use these terms invariably together, micro learning and nano learning, but technically there is a difference between these two. So, if we try to identify that what are the common characteristics of micro and nano learning, we can say that the brief introduction of the content in the bit size information modules or units, it could be a video, it could be an audio, it could be an infograph, it could be a picture, it could be anything in form of e-content which focuses on a single learning outcome. It is very easy to consume, very easy to recall, it may be in the digital form and even it can be in the physical form like flashcards. Flashcards is a good example which teachers are using into the classroom to provide the bit size information. So, it helps for even repetition of the content, it helps even in reinforcement of the content. So, all these things are possible when we are using the concept of nano learning or micro learning. Let us have some examples, just try to understand more that what this nano learning and micro learning stand for. For example, you may have seen the videos on YouTube which is called how to do it. How to do it. They are very quick tutorials, very quick videos. How to crop a picture on paint, it is a small video. How to change the background of an image, a small video, right. So, they are not the tutorials of 20 minutes or 40 minutes, they are very short crisp tutorials which are trying to solve a single problem, but they are single problem oriented. The video is giving the whole solution of that problem. You may find Instagram tutorials or reels of 1 minute duration. There are many WhatsApp infographics where the whole information is being presented in form of a graphical or a pictorial presentation for a rapid information sharing or wrap up type things. Flashcards, tip sheets in the traditional classroom can also be used for micro learning and nano learning components to the learners. The concept of micro learning and nano learning is also aligned with our National Education Policy 2020. Why I am saying this? That National Education Policy is focusing on competency based learning. It is emphasizing on the measurable learning outcomes and it is not preferring the rote memorization. So, measurable learning outcomes is the core focus of micro learning, it is the core tenet of micro learning. A bit size video or a bit size component or of a 4 or 5 lines on a flashcard or in a small infographic is basically a complete package which could be evaluated, which could be assessed. Technological integration is essential for micro and nano learning because you cannot produce hundreds and thousands of the content in physical form. So generally when we talk about micro and nano learning, digital integration or technological integration come immediately in our mind. For example, for a lesson of 20 minutes, if we are recording a video and there are 4 core concepts, so we may design 4 micro lesson nuggets for on 4 concepts. Even within that concept, if there is definition, there are examples, there are explanations, we may design 3 more nano size component with for that. So nano size, then micro size, then a complete lesson. This is the ratio. So flexibility is there. Flexibility is why? Because every learner may not require to watch each and every nano content. Generally learners shift towards the nano content on the micro content when they face problem, when they find it difficult to understand, when they are exploring or when they are identifying that there should be more examples, but they are not able to quickly get an example, so they can go for that. So the personalized and adaptive learning is basically very well aligned with this concept of micro and nano learning. Whenever we are talking about PAL, which is going to be the reality in school education very soon, we all know that in personalized and adaptive learning, whatever content will be delivered to the learners, whether it is a textual content or it is a visual content or it is a video content or it is an audio content, it will be provided into bit size packages. So those bit size packages will be basically the tailored solution of the student's need, which will facilitate the modular kind of content development, and the content will not be confined to the 10 page or 8 page or 20 page lessons of the textbook. Okay. So we are coming to that era very soon. There is a concept or there is a science behind the whole idea of micro learning. When we provide the content into digestible chunks or the small chunks, it reduces the cognitive load on the learner's mind. Because we don't deliver the information in one go for a longer duration. When we present multiple concepts in one go, for example 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, a learner may concentrate on one concept and may not concentrate on the another concept. So because the cognitive overloading is in the process. So if we are providing the micro learning components, the concept of mental fatigue will not be there, it will improve the comprehension of the learners. So that is the one idea, you can say the science behind the micro learning. Because it is short, so the retention is easier, recalling is easier, because the small chunks of the information can make their space in the long term memory and they are easy to retrieve. If you ask any student the one word answer, it is easy to answer. If you ask the students to answer in 100 words, it is difficult for them, because they will identify the information, they will organize in their mind that information into sentence form, then they will speak about it. If they miss any concept, they may not be able to explain it properly. But when they are having information in the bit size, they can immediately recall it. So the retention and recall is easy in the micro and nano learning. And when we provide information into the small chunks, because the information are coming in the sequence, so their mind remain active. The learning becomes an active learning and it is not a mere passive listening of the lecture. So it promotes the engagement of the learning through interactive elements, and it prompts learners to apply the concepts immediately, and also it boosts the learner's motivation, because achievable short term goals are there. If there are long term goals, and if a learner fails to achieve one goal, you may say that you have not achieved the whole objective of the lesson. But if there are small chunks, there are short term goals, they keep on accomplishing them and they keep on feeling that we have achieved 1, now we have achieved 2, now we have achieved 3. So it encourages the continuation of learning also. So these are the concepts which we can say which are the science behind the concept of micro learning. Micro learning also addresses many challenges which are there for the teachers in traditional classroom. For example, long lectures, reduced focuses. If we deliver the lengthy sessions into the classroom, which led to the decreased attention span and information fatigue. Because mind fails to process the information which is being given one after another without any breakage, without any gap. It is continuously just free flowing of the information, or you are overloading the information. So that reduction of the focus is the problem in the classroom. Another thing is that the teacher deliver the lecture or teacher deliver the content into the classroom with a single pace, which try to accommodate the normal learner of the classroom. But a classroom is having the learners with different learning styles, with different attention spans, but a teacher is not focusing on each and every learner, they are focusing the whole class in one go. So the uneven learning pace of the learners is not being addressed in the traditional classroom. So that is another challenge which we face when we are in the traditional classroom situation. Large classroom size basically reduce the chances of personalized attention, because every learner has its own learning gaps, but generally teachers address the common learning gaps of the learners, not every learning gap of the learners. That is the problem. Teacher may identify a few learning gaps in the classroom, 4, 5, 6, and they will design their class or their lecture according to those learning gaps. But those learning gaps are not the learning gaps of each and every learner. There may be certain learners who have different kind of learning gaps. They may be only 1 or 2, they may be only 4 or 5 out of 40 students in a class, or out of 30 students in a class. But what is the responsibility of the teacher? If teacher is not addressing the needs and demands of the 5 learners even in the class, we are not addressing the class completely. Though we are trying to address the needs of the class completely through fulfilling the learning needs of the class on a average basis. So nano learning comes here and play its role. Another very important thing is that when content is being provided into the small chunks into different formats, for example in audio format, in video format, in text format, so it makes the content accessible to every type of learner. Suppose if a learner is not able to hear properly, they may get benefit from the text and video. If a learner is not able to see properly, he or she may get benefited with the audio, right, and the text reading software. So when we use multiple formats of e-content in the micro and nano learning, we cater the diverse learning needs of the classroom and we make our teaching more accessible to the learners. We customize the content which suits the individual needs of the learners and the learning style, and also we make it highly effective with the children with disabilities, because we provide them the manageable information into small chunks. So also it helps in the blended learning. How it helps into the blended learning? For example, if a teacher want to plan the content before the classroom, so a teacher may share 2 or 3 micro learning components to the learners before the class, that quickly you go through this 2 minutes video or quickly you go through this 1 minute reading. Let's have a 1 minute reading. It could be an activity, 1 minute reading, half page, 1 minute reading, then explanation, then discussion. So for introducing the content into the classroom in the pre-class content format in flipped classroom, it helps a lot in which can further go for the deeper discussions, and activity could be organized on the basis of that. Also when we provide small size content, it is easy to access it on different digital formats, different digital platforms. For example, if you are providing a 30-minute video, and if the video is of a very good quality, it may be of 1 GB or 2 GB size. So when you will send this to the learners, the data may be an issue, it could not be downloaded properly, it may take much time to render, it may take much time to play, the speed may vary. But if we are providing the bit size content, they do not require the more data. The more data speed, it could be customized according to the data speed. For example, when we give the content on YouTube or Facebook or on present social media platforms, they have the option that they customize themselves according to the data speed. So for 4G or for 5G, they adjust themselves. So same thing is possible. The data could be customized for the mobile learning as well as for the desktop learning. Suppose we are producing a 10-page PDF file. So if a 10-page PDF file is available on a desktop, it could be readable. But if you ask someone to read 10 pages on a mobile, it will be difficult for them to read, right? So that is not digital platform competence. The device is also very important part of whole digital teaching learning. If a teacher is not considering on which device the learner is going to learn, it is many times their good efforts goes in vain, because the learner are not able to access it properly.
It should be able to run on all the IoT devices basically.
Yes. So the another aspect on which I want to focus is that when we talk about micro and nano learning, we have talked about that how it is connected with the learning process, how it is facilitating the pedagogy, but also how it is connecting with the today's digital natives, which we call Gen Z. Today's generation is called Gen Z, which are digital natives, which have grown up with the technology. Our generation has not grown up with the technology. We have learned the technology after a certain period of time.
Now we have Gen Alpha.
Yeah. So that is for the next generation, right?
Yeah.
So the learners which are now in the classroom, they are very much comfortable with the digital content, with the digital platforms, because they have grown up with that. So we may not, the second thing, as we have already discussed this 2 or 3 times during the whole discussion, that the present generation prefers the quick and concise information. They want anything which could provide them a solution in their limited focus duration. So the attention span is short. They prefer the interactive content, they prefer the dynamic content, they prefer the multimedia content, they prefer the content into different visual formats, not in a single format. The time has gone when we were teaching in front of the television and we are sitting in front of the camera and we were talking only, talking and talking. If I will talk about this whole concept without this PowerPoint presentation, I know I will lose at least thousands of my viewers immediately. They will not like my face, but when what I am presenting, it is connected with the visual which I am showing on the screen, they may make a connection. So they prefer to do it, and they prefer to learn with examples and practice. So examples are also the bit-sized solution to the problems. So in this way we can say that we are trying to address the learning gaps, and we are facilitating the remedial learning basically through micro lessons in the classroom. For example, micro lessons for revision. Micro lessons are very useful for revision because they could be utilized for shorter version, and learners can use these short targeted modules for quick review whatever has been taught to them, whether it is a concept or they have memorized something, they could refresh their memory with these short bites. If you ask a learner that okay, we have taught you something today in the class, now you go through the chapter and read it at your home so that you could refresh your memory, I don't think any learner will go back to the home and they will read the whole chapter. But if we will give them a shorter chunks, whether in form of text or in form of image or in form of video or in form of audio of 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, they will quickly go through it and they will refresh their memory, and it will reinforce the retention of the information in their mind. Sometimes some students struggle with certain problems. Every student, it is not essential that every student is struggling with the same problem. When students go through the content into the classroom, when students go through the content at the home, they find it difficult to digest certain concepts. It could be one concept for one learner, another concept for another learner. So, if we ask a learner to go through the whole video of 50 minutes again, they are not going to do that. That is not going to provide them any solution. But if we make a 30-second video or 30-second audio, but it is a nano module on a particular concept. So, if a learner wants one concept, they may watch or listen the one video. The another learner wants to understand another concept, he or she can do it with another video. So, that is the possibility. And also we can take the quick testing what they have learned. So, the assessment is also very frequent, very fast. We can understand their how much they have understood, how much they have gathered information, whether they are going to give their any feedback on it or not. So, all these things are possible with the micro and nano learning. Now I am going to give you certain examples. These examples are not like only these examples are there, but I tried to put forward a few concepts so that our teachers or the viewers could understand that how they could use this micro and nano learning concept in their classroom. For example, if a teacher is teaching English language, they can use a concept called grammar bites. So, the grammar bites could be based on a single grammar rule. Where to use is, just single rule. Where to use a and n, it is not a whole class of 1 hour, it is a single rule. So, many grammar rules could be explained in the shorter videos, many other concepts, spelling errors, common pronunciation drills could be addressed through the grammar bites. For example, in mathematics we can give the formula tips, quick refreshing formula, key to derive a mathematical formula and their applications could be the example. We may have the brief conceptual snapshots in science. As I have told you, we may have a 130-second video on solute, 130-second video on solvent, 130-second video on solution, 130-second video on saturated solution, 130-second video on unsaturated solution. So, you know, any scientific concept could be broken into the small units and we may design the e-content on that. For example, if we are having the historical events or the geographical facts, generally in history or in geography we have the timelines, and many times the students struggle to keep in their memory that timeline. So, we may connect the timeline with a particular event, and one event with 1 year, one event with another year, another event with another year. So, all these could be separate small content. So, they may not need to go through the whole timeline in one go. They can do 2 and then they can connect it regularly. So, this is also a possibility where they could use the micro modules. We can use micro learning in assessment also. For example, the instant quizzes. In the classroom, teacher can use a 2-minute quiz, 4-item quiz, many things are possible. Short focused quiz immediately after the lesson, even during the lesson we can use. We can ask the learners to design some visual recall charts, so they can draw a quick chart, a quick infographic for their memory retention that could be used for assessment. We may give them some flashcards. They could be digital flashcards, they could be non-digital flashcards, and they could help them in targeted revision sessions. So, micro learning is not only useful for teaching learning, micro learning is not only useful for introducing the lesson or retention of the concept, it is equally useful in assessment also. So, what our teachers can do? At last I want to explain in next few minutes that what is expected from the teachers and what our teachers can do to apply these micro and nano learning concepts. They can simplify the content delivery. How? They need to break down the complex topics into the smaller one, manageable micro lessons. But when you are breaking down the complex topics into the smaller manageable micro lessons, please make each component complete. At least one learning objective should be addressed in one. Otherwise, if you are going to address one learning objective into 4, 5, 6 videos, it is not going to solve your purpose. So then the whole idea of micro and nano learning will be defeated. So that you cannot do. You can utilize the videos, the infographics, the interactive quizzes. Sometimes you can provide this content to the learners for their consumption at the later stage. In the classroom you can provide this content at the end and they can go through at their home. So especially the learners who are the slow learners or who want to learn on their own pace, the learners sorry, the learners whose pace is not mapping or matching with the pace of the teacher, such content is very helpful for the learners in their asynchronous learning. You can support the inclusive education because when you provide the content into different formats, different formats cater the diverse learning styles and needs. They provide the targeted intervention to the students who require extra support. And also when we provide the content into the micro and nano units, it basically enables a flexible learning pathways to the learners, especially the learners who are with the special needs. Next thing what you can do, you can empower another dimension of micro learning, which I used to say student led micro learning.
Okay.
So micro learning is not always teacher led. It is not the teacher who can create the content, it is not the teacher who should provide the content. Even you can encourage your students to take the lead and to create the micro content, to share the micro content. It will not only build the confidence among the learners, but it will also help them for the deeper understanding. For example, if we ask our students to create a 1-minute educational content, suppose if you have explained a concept into the classroom and you ask your students, okay, identify its applications and record your 30-second video or 1-minute video by suggesting one application in your daily life which you have observed, right. For example, if a teacher is teaching a concept called gender gap,
okay,
or gender biasness. Suppose a teacher has explained the concept into the classroom, teacher can ask the students that go to the home, see your neighborhood and identify an example of gender biasness, identify an example of gender gap and record a 30-second video and share it into the group. You will find that multiple examples will float, multiple examples from different situations will come. Even you will find the examples which you have not conceptualized as a teacher. So sometimes content creation encourages the learners to understand the concepts into a better way. That is the one way through which we can empower the students led micro learning. Another, we can use the concept of peer teaching, that the smaller concepts could be taught by one learner to the another learner, where a learner will act will teacher and the another learner will act as learner. So when a learner is acting as a teacher, their concept clarity is more, their understanding is more. It builds the confidence in them even for the public speaking also in sometimes. You can utilize class specific platforms like Google Classroom or other school websites, where students can create the content, a student can share the content, which content is accessible to all the students of the community, and you can make a learning community. You can make them understand the importance of community learning. You can foster a sense of learning community among the learners. So all these things are possible if you empower your students for micro learning. Micro learning also addresses the challenges with the practical solutions, like you can the time constraints. If there is a spare minute, 1 or 2 minute duration between the two classes, it could be used meaningfully for quick micro lesson, for reviewing the lesson. If there is no technology, it does not mean that you cannot use the concept of micro and nano learning if there is lack of technology. You can design printed micro cards, flash cards, you can organize the group discussions, you can organize a quick quiz, or many things are possible where bit size learning can happen even without digital tools. So never think that only digital tools are possible in the micro and nano learning. You can even practice these concepts without technology also. If there is not possibility of sufficient training, You can use peer mentoring concepts where experienced teacher can guide the other teachers in the micro-learning concepts. So, all these things are possible. So, at last if I summarize the whole session and I want to say that what are the key takeaways, and also because this is the first session, so the viewers will see the details of micro-learning in the coming sessions. I must say that micro and nano learning is a time efficient strategy, which is not only perfectly fit with the short period, it is ideal for transition, for substitution, for on the go learning. A micro learning fosters the continuation of the learning or continuous learning, you can say. A small doses of learning build habits of learning. It encourages curiosity, self-directed learning and growth mindset. You can integrate the micro learning plans into your routine lesson plans. You can integrate a 2-minute or 5-minute video in your 30-minute class. That is possible. You can transform the homework style or the revision of the concept also by using the micro learning concepts. So, at last I want to say that let us all together understand the concept of micro and nano learning, use these concepts of micro and nano learning in our classroom, and let us unlock the engagement and efficiency in the education with one small step at a time, because micro learning is the future of Indian classroom. So, with this I am stopping here. If there are any questions, I would like to answer.
Sure, sir. First of all, thank you so much for sharing those important insights on micro-learning and nano-learning concept, need and scope. I must say that due to the change in the entire scenario, because for us, using digital technology was new normal. But for Gen Z, Gen Alpha, who have grown up seeing all these things, this is the normal thing for them. Now, I have a few questions. Let me just start with understanding some of the best practices for designing and delivering effective micro-learning and nano-learning experiences. What are those best practices?
There are many best practices, like in NCERT you can see the videos which we are producing now on the new textbooks.
Okay.
We are somehow trying to integrate the concepts of micro learning, because now we are making the shorter duration videos, we are making the videos and the e-content, whether it is audio, video, AR, VR, or the even the virtual labs.
Right.
We are not making hours long videos, we are not making hours long audios, we are going with a concept centric e-content production. So, you need not to go anywhere else if you want the examples and the best practices. NCERT and CIET are the best example for it. We are practicing it and we are trying to do it. We are also working in the direction of personalized and adaptive learning, and we are going to develop the video programs of the shorter duration. Bit size videos production is now going on. So, very soon we will have the 30-second or 1-minute videos on different common concepts of science, mathematics, biology and all other subjects later on we will add. So, the whole world is moving towards it. We are not the only one.
Yeah.
You will see the learning content available these days on the Instagram. You see the learning content available in the Facebook Reels or in the Insta Reels. All that content the teachers are delivering. Even I don't want to name those people, but there are many famous teachers who are explaining the concepts on these e-platforms in quick bites. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, maximum 3 minutes. All these things are possible. On YouTube, you will find a number of videos on these concepts. So, there are multiple platforms and channels where you will find the content.
Right, sir. In fact, I would also like to share that during one of the PM eVidya sessions, there was a teacher of class 10, and she actually, brought a concept where we were learning about roots and shoots. And in just half an hour, she focused on the root part, stem part and everything. And I was asking her, how did you manage to complete the entire chapter in just half an hour? And she told me, Harpreet, it's not just an entire chapter, it's only one paragraph that I've taken out. So now I realized that was a classic example of micro-learning. You also mentioned during the presentation that you can't pick random lines and just decide that you'll be preparing content on the same, because we have different subjects, we have different concepts. So what are some potential challenges and considerations when implementing these approaches in different learning contexts?
There are certain challenges. The first challenge is that on which concept we should develop the content. Ajay told you that in the micro-learning, it is a fundamental principle that any micro-learning unit should be complete, complete in itself, should be a complete package. So, if you are just trying to provide a information into bit size package, but your information is incomplete, or you are leaving an explanation in between. Okay, I have decided to develop 1 minute bit size videos. After 1 minute I will cut. Whether it will be able to completely explain the concept or not. So, that mistake we should not do. That is the one challenge. The another challenge is that, you know, when we create the micro learning or nano learning content, we should not use a single format. It could not be only lecture, it could not be only demonstration, it could be multiple formats. So, if a teacher is not exposed to multiple formats of e-content, they may face the challenge that, you know, they are not able to create good quality e-content. Even if you see the reels, if you are watching the similar style of reels of same person, you get bored and you change the person, right? You cannot listen the poetry in the same way every time. You cannot even watch the humorous videos of same style every time. You want different styles, you want different treatments. So, same thing the teacher should keep in mind. The third challenge is that making the content entertaining, we should not forget that this content is educational content. So, you cannot put the over drama, or it should not be you know, too much entertaining that the idea of content delivery is lost. So, that you cannot do. So, these are few very common challenges which a teacher should face, and they generally face when they create the content for micro and nano learning.
That's very interesting, because of course you cannot over dramatize the entire situation, because the sole purpose is to deliver the content and to serve the academic purposes. Now, one last question, very quick question, sir. How do you think micro learning and nano learning evolve in response to changing learner needs and technological advancements, because we are learning from mobile devices now?
Right. I have answered this question in the starting of my presentation, but I am repeating it again. You know, with the technological advancement, technology has become the part and parcel of the life of our learners. As we use the term, they are digital natives. They have grown up with the devices. So, when they have grown up with the devices, they are well versed with the devices, and they are exposed to multiple types of content. Multiple sources of content are there. So, if we are trying to create something which is in tune with that, they will accept that. If we are trying to create something which is not, you know, encouraging them, not involving them, not engaging them, then our whole practice will be in vain.
Absolutely. And we can't afford to do that, because there is already reduced attention span, and we cannot actually play with that thing anymore. So, Professor Gaurav Singh, thank you so much for throwing light on today's session, which was all about nano learning and micro learning concept, need and scope, and we brought this session under the umbrella theme of micro learning and nano learning, designing bite-sized digital content to enhance teaching learning. Today we are through with day one's session. I told you in the beginning, it's a training program, so kindly visit CIET website for getting more knowledge about the assessment process. So, with this, I'm wrapping up the session here, and of course, I'll see you tomorrow with day two's session, and that will be about pedagogical design of bite-sized digital modules. So, I'm wrapping up this session and leaving you with some pieces of information. Let's talk about textbooks first. So, textbooks for grade 4 and 7 are now available on Amazon, Flipkart and NCERT website. You can purchase them from there, and in a short while from now, you can watch a session Sahyo. You have been watching the rest of the sessions. Of course, you can take a look at the schedule also. All these sessions are available on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. And for Sahyo, please participate in the session with your questions, suggestions and feedback. With this as a wrap, this is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you. Namaskar.